New at 10 tonight, a spirited meeting this evening in Bridgeport over two proposed bills that would remove the religious exemption for vaccinations. The conversation talked about how such a move would be unfair to inner city communities already struggling. At a time when vaccines are at the center of our conversation statewide, they were also at the center of a meeting in Bridgeport. Parents and politicians discussing potential legislation they say would discriminate against Black and brown families.
I don't think it's in the hands of any government or any legislator to mandate my choice away.
The panel's conversation surrounded around two bills that, if passed, would remove the religious exemption for vaccinations. Alfreda Johnson says that she was coerced into giving her son an H1N1 influenza vaccine 10 years ago. And his side effects, she says, were horrible, causing him to have over 13 surgeries.
A failed bone marrow. They treated him as if he had cancer because they had my son on chemo. He was in a wheelchair, very weak, losing his hair. It was just downhill for my son.
Race being the center point in tonight's conversation, and why eliminating choice, they say, is increasing inequality.
So I think that these two bills are very discriminatory. They will further cause segregation in our communities. You know, it's going to be our single moms, you know, if these bills are passed, that are going to have to try to figure out, you know, now they're being pressured into homeschooling. I mean, we see what happened with COVID.
Brooke Johnson is a mother from New York who says her family was discriminated against because of similar legislation passed in New York in 2019.
When they removed the religious exemption, it took away my ability for them to be able to go to school. I had much dialogue with the various different legislators and explaining to them, you know, this is a religious exemption because for some reason people are under the impression that you can't have a religious exemption and also have a child that is medically fragile, and vaccinations are just not in their best interest.
It's important to note that the bill does not force children to be immunized. It bars unvaccinated children who don't qualify for some type of medical exemption from enrolling in school.
One size really does not fit all. And that's what removing these opt-out forms really are doing. They're imposing a one size fits all, program on everybody who comes through the doors. And, we're all different, and genetic makeups are different from everybody. And sometimes between races, they're very different.
If passed, the religious exemption would be removed starting on September 1st of 2022.